Hey, I'm Nate Turner, co-founder and CEO of 10Speed. Today, I'm joined again with co-founder Kevin King, and we are excited to be jumping back in the studio after a few weeks, and really going to focus today on a lot of things that have been happening lately. I guess kind of like some stuff that's dropped. So coming out of HubSpot's inbound conference, some data studies, and big state of SEO report from Search Engine Journal is kind of the bulk of it. So all things you've potentially seen flying around on the internet and LinkedIn, but going to kind of run through those today and chat through what they mean for marketing teams and marketers trying to do their jobs today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
exciting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Super exciting. So Inbound is the name of HubSpot's conference.
Yes.
I've been a couple times. You've been a couple times. It's always been in Boston. It was in San Francisco this year.
First time.
Switched it up. I think one of the big things coming out of there was people talking about how they dropped the concept of loop marketing. So they, were famously the ones who pioneered the concept of inbound marketing. And in many ways seems like kind of their way to try to stay on
Inbound 2.0.
Yeah. Like evolve and realize that the idea of the funnel just doesn't really make sense anymore. So trying to stay relevant. So they pitched it as 4 pieces being express, tailor, amplify, and evolve. And you are able to move throughout that infinity loop at any point. You jump in at any point, move through it. We'll link article and video explaining it in more detail, but just wanted to kind of react and think through some of that. So Kevin, I don't know if you want to just start off and just kind of give some of the initial reactions to all the buzz around that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's logical. Makes sense. HubSpot would come out with, the next, like trying to be like a trend setting framework for how marketing is supposed to be in the digital age, I guess. I don't know. It's because it's not necessarily, you can put it over content marketing, you can put it over organic marketing, but I think it applies to all channels, and within each of those specific sections of the infinity loop, it does touch on specific channels. So, I mean, I think, it's a logical evolution to some extent. I think it's not super innovative in, I guess,
in general.
But like, I don't want to just come off super like critical of it. Like, I think it makes sense that they would be someone to have that plant a flag and be like, hey, this is the way you should be thinking about it. And there's some good and bad things about it. Let's just say, just not to be overly critical. So I'll say, stop there, to let you react a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's dumb. I agree. I think they have to do something. And when I say that, like, to pull it apart a bit, it's not groundbreaking in any way. I think it's kind of just an attempt to brand what people already have been doing for a while, understand who your audience is, tailor some of the stuff you're doing. It was very like, I think people have moved off of the funnel concept and understand that like buyers are not on this like very nice and neat linear journey for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so thinking about that, I feel like this is just sort of an attempt to like heavily plug their product and kind of instill some AI use cases at each turn is really kind of what it felt like, more than like, we're showing you the way forward on like the world of marketing and growth.
I agree. I think there's also some like concepts being conflated, like even what they're talking about here, even just kind of talking about this in the same breath as like the funnel, which I get is not like a linear journey. And lots of people haven't talked about that in that way for a long time. Is that like the whole framework isn't even a funnel? Like, it's not like they're saying this is the new way you should think about funnel, the funnel. It's more of a like workflow for how you create content across all channels.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and
I don't know.
Nothing to do with the buyer journey.
No.
Like it's more
And I think that that's
operator.
Yeah, and I think if anything, it comes off more confusing, even if you take a look at the video and explainer and everything. It kind of speaks to it in those terms, though, that it is this way that you get, like it says, the old way of how people discover brands is through this old traditional funnel, but this is how we should be thinking about it. And then it shifts to the express, tailor, amplify, evolve concept, but that's not a natural shift from funnel to this. It's if anything, this
two different things.
Yeah, you could argue this still is a way you should have been thinking about this in this way, and you should have been thinking about this way for a long time, even to support the traditional funnel.
Yes, yeah, that's the part where I think I got hung up on it. So it's a good point that it is different, because I think they talked about inbound before as like attract, engage, and then like retain or something like that
for the traditional funnel.
Yeah, that's kind of what they had talked about as like the thing. And again, so like they created this concept ultimately of like helping people understand like that just was not a thing before. Very much kudos to them for creating kind of the world of inbound marketing in many ways. I think that's just a tough, sophomore album dilemma. To try to follow up that. And
although they didn't follow this up as quickly as the sophomore album.
Correct. Yes. So I think it's, I saw, varying takes on people reacting to it and whatnot. And I just don't think nothing about it screams like this is the next, 10 to 15 years. Like, I don't anticipate CEOs being like, are we doing loop marketing? Should we be doing loop marketing? Like,
right.
That is just not like
it's
a thing at all.
Yeah, they're making trying to make fetch happen. I think the other thing that's specific to it, when you get more into the details of what it is, it's AI plays a big part through all of the loop. And if you look at each stage, so it's like express, tailor, amplify, evolve. It is an AI playbook. It even says in some of the descriptions.
Yeah.
But it's all like each stage is quite literally this is how you should use AI to inform some sort of content creation or targeting throughout this like workflow, which is not a bad thing to go out and educate. But like, I don't think it's going to be something that everyone is championing for a long time. If anything, most people will just be like, are we using AI today in certain areas of how we're creating our content? But yeah.
I mean, for two examples in like, if you were to watch the loop marketing video, one, she says, like I've pulled 6 months worth of paid ads performance data, and I'm going to give it to AI and have it like tell me how to optimize my campaigns. Like, change your, ad sets or rules or targeting or whatever. Makes sense, logical. And then the other was like, I'm going to feed it a bunch of reviews that this company has gotten and have it like update my positioning to like reflect the voice of the customer.
Yeah.
And like, those cool. Like I don't think that in any way that's like novel to loop marketing, and everything else loop marketing is like should be pretty straightforward. I guess I can't claim that everyone already does it, but know who your audience is, figure out how to tailor and segment appropriately, promote it to them, do the right things, and then analyze the data, make adjustments, and start over. So that should be a pretty typical ongoing marketing motion for most people.
Yeah. And like, again, just the things that are mapped to each stage in terms of tactics, like what you said around feeding it reviews to incorporate to update positioning. All those things are good advice, especially maybe it's more for where you're at on the marketing spectrum. It's like if you're now just getting in and this is the first thing you're learning as a marketer, I can see it being a pretty helpful concept.
Sure.
But like, I don't know if like if you're running if you're, trying to update your strategy at a Series B, C company that's been around and has tons of content, has a successful program, they're going to go like, oh, have you seen this loop marketing framework?
Yes. That's where I kind of get hung up on I agree. If you're just coming into the industry, 0 to 2 years of experience or something like that, like I think that there's good stuff to grow from that. I don't think anyone is, bringing this to a leadership meeting or an executive meeting on how their company can grow 40% again next year.
Right.
Because I think if I were a CMO and someone said, this is how we're going to grow, I'd say you should already be doing all this.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and again, I think that just comes back to your point on like that it's different. It's not like inventing a new way of growing a business. It's just more of an operating.
Yes. It's also, to call it what it is too, it is a content marketing play. There are things in here that are promoting HubSpot's products. Within each stage, there's specific functionality within HubSpot that they're using to map to each thing, like newer AI functionality or like their CRM functionality or something. Mm-hmm. So like loop marketing works really well if you're using HubSpot. So that's something which I wouldn't not advocate for. HubSpot's powerful. And everything. But I think the other interesting thing about it is when you really look at it, this isn't like a hot take necessarily, but like, I think it is trying to push the industry shift or narrative around like marketers becoming more of a generalist or like a unicorn. Cause if you are one marketer that does the way it's framed in the video, doing all those things, like in one stage, I think it is in the personalization or stage. It's like that, segmenting your email marketing campaigns and all that. Like within, 30 seconds of the video, it's like displacing like a whole, like an email marketing function to some extent down to one marketer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also being like the person who should be creating the content before that and all that. I don't know. I think that's where it's kind of like eye-opening is that it seems to be kind of, maybe amplifying that, like you don't need as many resources from market, which also makes sense too, to some extent, but
fair point. Yeah. I didn't think about it through that lens, but I suppose that is potentially what they're banking on or see in their own data is like an increase in single person marketing teams.
Yeah.
Using their platform and doing a lot of that.
But that's why I think it also seems to be probably targeting that, hey, you're just getting started with marketing kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, the only other thing I would ask is, do you think they'll rename their conference from Inbound to Loop?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Or do you think it'll be like just kind of this thing that doesn't get a lot of traction?
Yeah, it's sad that I didn't think of that throughout all of this prep. Maybe, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I mean, like in a lot of the materials that promote it, and especially how the community is perceiving it, it is a like either Inbound 2.0, which can facilitate them keeping inbound. But there's a lot of people saying like, inbound is dead, or the inbound funnel is quote unquote dead, and that this is like the new way to look at it. So I don't know. They might have created a little bit of a mess on their hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Time will tell.
Loop. Are you going to the Loop conference? I don't know. I don't know how that sounds.
Yeah. I guess shifting gears a little bit, we've talked a decent amount about GEO, LLMs, a lot of that shift. And we've talked a bit about even just seeing in our own client data how a lot of the traffic that does come from the LLM, that you pick up in Google Analytics or whatever platform, seems to be more qualified. Is something that we've talked about on, in one of these sessions. And so Amsive released a study where they specifically dug in to try to understand, does LLM traffic convert better than organic? And I appreciate they actually do have, like, it's a very well done study. Like
no, it's awesome.
They share methodology and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the better pieces on this topic.
yeah. So we'll link that. But it's just clear it's not just someone's opinion. Like it's there's a lot there. Should we bury the lead or come out ahead?
I don't know. Lead with it. Yeah. Don't bury it.
I think the interesting thing is while there is a lot of data, I applaud them for publishing it still, because the conclusion is like it's inconclusive.
Yeah.
It appeared that there was slightly better conversion rates from traffic from LLMs, but nothing that was statistically significant. So, I think they could easily just scrapped it and said, all right, there's not really anything here, but I think that that is useful for a lot of people, and that's why we wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just like there's like everyone's just still grasping for context and understanding the shift and everything that's happening, and so even inconclusive data is still helpful.
Yeah.
In kind of painting that picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because within that article too, it talks about how organic still drives, it says approximately 32% of sessions. Basically, like LLM traffic is still less than 1% on most sites.
Yep.
So like, even though it's inconclusive, there's really interesting data points that should hopefully bring not relief, but like should help justify not scrapping everything you're doing and giving good talking points to like your leadership teams on where you should be focused. Because I think there is still just, which we've talked about a lot, people abandoning ship on certain things that are going to hurt them in the long run. One thing we didn't add into this, but this pairs nicely with, I think it was last month, there'd been some other articles talking about how LLM traffic has actually gone down and like search has been up and all that. So like, I don't know, hard to see where it'll go, but I think the less than 1% of LLM, less than 1% of traffic being driven by LLMs is a very important aspect of all of this.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting how it's evolved, because to some extent there is a little bit of like a denominator issue as well, where like, I think it's possible that you still have more, like there's just a lot of like learning curve for people using LLMs. And so like, are there potentially a lot more clicks that are kind of pulling down that conversion rate? Ultimately it is better. But separately, I think that the less than 1% of total site traffic, like to me, that just kind of makes sense, because most of what people are using ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those for is not necessarily to try to get to websites,
right?
In a navigating way. It's like you're getting what you need without clicking through. So it just makes sense that it's not going to represent as big of a traffic, but it is a bigger piece in terms of like people being aware of your brand and understanding that. However, so it's not a big percentage of the traffic, but also like if you think about whatever, what's the best project management tool for X type of company?
Yep.
It will list companies, but like the links and the citation are not always that company as well.
Right.
So it may be like, I'm going to take you to this listicle that explains that. So there's also that aspect of like, the logical thing is to go to search, organic search, and go like search that brand.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you have to then watch brand queries and how that's shaping in organic traffic as well. I just don't like, I think it's really good and it's a really good talking about. I just don't know that like traffic from LLMs feels that significant to me.
Significant in terms of like its impact?
Well, it's just not it's not like a one-to-one apples to apples thing. Like,
right.
If I search best project management tool in Google here's what I get. I'll click through, search that in ChatGPT. I might get, some sort of listicle from HubSpot. And then
Right.
I go, from there and it's referral traffic, or I just search the company. And so, I think that aspect of it is like hard to fully compare them or like fully diminish, like, oh, it's less than 1%. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And not that I'm saying that that's what you were saying, 'cause
No,
I don't think you were, but yeah, just the more I've thought about it, from reading this study, that's like some of the stuff that was coming to mind was just there's some really challenging aspects of how to really interpret what's meaningful and what's not.
I think, it's still early in the sense that I agree with you. I think this is like the experimentation phase, right? Like you should probably just still continue to see how you get visibility in them and like what does that traffic do for you. It's always I think it's probably going to be a business by business case, right? But if anything, I'd say one of the good takeaways for me, and it's kind of what I said at the top, was just like this push to be like all in on AIO, which we've had plenty of conversations with prospects and businesses we work with on the viability of that, is that like you should not be doing that just now. Like experiment, but focus on the things that have been working for you already. Because right now this is not statistically significant to be showing you that it's going to do anything meaningful for your business.
Yeah, AIO and just like all the GEO and stuff.
Yeah, GEO. I'm getting them all mixed up. Yeah, it's interesting. Oh, but the other thing too, they just released a few weeks ago, or that grouping in GA4 for LLM referrals.
Yeah.
So if anything, there's a cleaner way to track this now moving forward.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of the, I think, clear, better, actionable takeaways now, is like, if anything, there's less of a black box on that traffic for every business.
Yeah.
Because you can actually see it now, which is a good step forward in terms of just like transparency and understanding of how it's performing.
Versus how we were doing it and knowing what to look for and, having the filters.
And most businesses being scrappy right now to like build dashboards. We talked about it in an episode a few episodes ago, like, hey, build a dashboard, get scrappy and all that. And it's like, well, you should still be able to have a dashboard, but now it might be easier to do so now.
Yep. Yeah. And then, we've talked before as well, like the tools, and our newsletter just went out this week, newsletter.10speed.io, talked a little bit about that middle ground that's difficult between marketers being able to vibe code something that's fully effective and useful versus needing to use off the shelf SaaS. And the example that I used was some of the stuff we were working on with LLM visibility reporting. And so I think there's some of that as well, that it's good that that's been updated in Google Analytics, but now kind of still need that other side of the puzzle and understanding LLM visibility, even when there's not clicks, kind of where you're showing up, how you're showing up, all of that.
Yeah. And again, I want to be clear, be experimenting, be trying to optimize for this channel. This is not don't do it. This data and these numbers are saying like, oh, it's not worth it. I think the more you understand it now, I think a better way to say it is that experimentation takeaway, like this is the time to create a lane consistent enough internally or whoever you're working with to make sure that when it does start to it will pick up. At some point, it's going to probably it'll make up a bigger percentage. I think that's the natural assumption, but is just future proofing yourself there to make sure that like you could potentially be the number one within your category or something or what it is for the queries and prompts that people are using to find your type of product.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. In no way was I suggesting.
Totally.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's a good pivot. So Search Engine Journal released their State of SEO 2026. And so we had a chance to look through that. They surveyed 371 mostly senior SEO professionals.
Mostly senior.
Most of the 371 is what I mean by that.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
And most of the questions were framed around, over the last 12 months.
Mhm.
So there are obviously some that are forward looking that we'll get into. There's 10. We'll go through them quickly. I don't want to dwell too long and drag this out, but I think it's definitely, even just compared to State of SEO 2025, is just an interesting time to look at some of this data and,
for sure.
and kind of get some of that context. So the first one, again, this is kind of all been framed over the last 12 months. Activities with the greatest positive impact. First was reported as original content creation at 66%. 43% said content updates, and 42% said technical SEO enhancements.
Yeah. One clarifying point on that, original content creation is basically just net new content creation.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, not that they didn't survey or qualify creativity or unique.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not things that have never been created.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, I think that makes sense. Like we've said before, I mean, content's going to fuel everything. Content should fuel your marketing. Everything you create and put out into the world is a piece of content. The better you can tie back to that previous point, though, like a truly unique net new content, that's going to be even better. But also just maintaining the universe of topics that you're an authority on being number two, that makes sense. That's something we advocate for.
Yep.
And do on a daily basis. And then the technical SEO enhancements, I don't know. It's, I guess at the end of the day, all three just seems pretty classic.
Yeah, it does.
It hasn't changed.
I think that it may be just a slightly different flavor, but yeah, it is nothing really surprising there. I think if anything, to me, the fact that technical SEO enhancements was almost number two, just shy of content updates. But yeah, I think certainly can keep rolling through. The next was most critical tools. 56 reported analytics and performance reporting as the number one. 51% said cross-functional platforms. I don't really know entirely what that means. And 47% said technical health and auditing. So I think that ties pretty well with the first part, and we'll also talk a little bit about I think I don't need to dwell on this a lot, but I think some of the stuff we'll get into in a moment, the analytics and performance reporting is not surprising that's kind of listed as number one.
No. I think this maps well to the first one. Nothing too crazy there. I think clarifying cross-functional platforms is probably pretty important. So I'm trying to do that. But technical health and auditing. Actually, I'd say the same thing. I'm surprised that that's almost two. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that there's a subtext here around these things actually being impactful because they're helping them with the GEO visibility as well.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, because if it was taken recently and over the last 12 months, then we certainly are encompassing a lot of that shift in this as well. I do want to clarify, nearly all of these had 8 to 10 options. I only pulled, it wasn't worth reading all the way down to the 6% said this. Mm-hmm. So I've only pulled top 3 or maybe 4 for these, but there certainly were more options for the folks in the survey. Most improved outcomes, 60% said organic traffic growth, 58% said keyword rankings improvement, and 35% said brand visibility increase. So this is one where I think we are seeing maybe some of that influence of LLMs coming into play here, where I don't feel like in the past SEOs would have been reporting brand visibility increase as a top 3 most improved outcome.
Agree.
I think that's that's definitely a shift that's come about with this.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to have. It would be interesting to see some sort of like adoption with those tools. Like analytics and performance reporting from the previous one is high. Obviously, within there's going to be brand visibility performance or tools. I would be curious to see if like some of those are LLM AI driven tools. But yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting shift for the SEO function or skill set in general, is that they're reporting on that, which is good. I think that's a good thing. Like it's,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Because following that up, top performance measurement priorities, sadly, organic traffic was number one, 75%. And thankfully, number two was qualified leads and sales conversions at 60%. And then keyword visibility and rankings at 57%. So
yeah, I think that's the weird one here, especially with what it seems to be a growing understanding that traffic can be in a lot of instances a vanity metric. And we're educating and consulting a lot on focusing on quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe there's more nuance to that.
yeah. Well, yeah, this is the one where I kind of went like, like who's filling this out? Because it's a little disappointing that two of the top three will feel a little more old school.
Maybe it did mean mostly senior SEOs.
That's my summary of how they broke down who was junior, who was senior.
For sure.
Yeah. So I mean, great to see 60% of people saying qualified leads, sales conversions. 5-10 years ago, that probably wasn't nearly as high.
Nope.
No so way. That feels logical. The other stuff feels like a little bit legacy hangover. But at the same time, it's, performance measurement priorities. So you could also have a little bit of the opposite framing that, keyword visibility and rankings was a little bit more of like a defensive, or, we got to keep track of this. Are we losing position kind of thing? If I wanted to give benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah.
Biggest challenges to SEO success. So this is where we get into the meat of it.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, 59%. Number one said algorithm volatility and SERP disruptions. Makes sense. I was kind of surprised. So that was 59%. Then the next one drops down to 32%. Said content workflow challenges. And then 29% was difficulty measuring ROI and attribution. So a little bit to pick apart here. I personally don't feel like we need to belabor the point on algorithm changes. Volatility. That is known. But
I think the one point to emphasize there is, which we do, is like same thing with the LLM point. You shouldn't be putting all of your eggs in. If that's the biggest challenge, I mean, SEO success, I guess it makes sense that it'd be algorithms, but like also just like diversify your distribution channels for organic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think content workflow challenges was interesting to me. Obviously, we're no stranger to content workflow challenges, but also feel like we've built quite a good process and team around that. So that's certainly a positive thing for our clients. Is good to leverage a smooth working content workflow and not have to try to build that. So seeing that challenge makes sense. But then the difficulty measuring ROI and attribution was why I was saying like we'd kind of call back a little bit to that, most important tools. I think that's kind of where we're seeing like people recognize the importance of it. Doesn't mean that everyone's figured out how to do it well.
Yeah.
But certainly a lot of importance, being put behind that. And as that, difficulty measuring ROI and attribution, 29% saying that's their biggest challenge to SEO success.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm surprised it's 3.
Yeah.
That means a lot of people have more of a handle on it than I kind of assumed.
Yeah, well,
to some extent.
You have to assume that some of the people who said the options 1 and 2 also feel the pain of ROI. It's just maybe not as painful as others.
Yes.
But yes, I agree. keep cruising along. Most time consuming / difficult to scale activities. No surprise here. Content creation, 43%. Link acquisition, 39%. Strategic content planning, 38%. Technical auditing and fixes, 33%. And content optimization, 29%. So interesting that there's a little more distribution here. I also noticed immediately, these are all the things we help our clients with.
Yeah.
And so the scale part is definitely a factor. And the fact that we can ramp up quickly with a client, turn it on, or an existing client, scale up, double, triple what we're doing, within a matter of, a week, 2 weeks, like we can scale quickly. Like that is a big deal. So certainly validating, on some of the value we're bringing to clients, but also not surprising because I know that each one of these things is, multiple SOPs and processes and things that we've built over time.
Well, doing that without sacrificing quality is big. And I think if anything that shows that, I'm making a big assumption, but that would tell me if that is the biggest, most time consuming to scale activity, is that teams might be still leading with quality and being more thoughtful, hopefully, about content. Because
hopefully
you'd think maybe, maybe if we compared it to last year's, I don't know if it would go down, if that's gone down, because AI content creation could make it. If you believe everything that everybody's saying online and on LinkedIn, that like you should be using AI to create content, right? But anyway, I think that's a good thing to some extent, because good content shouldn't come easy.
Yeah. Well, it's a good segue because the next one was future investment / innovation plans. And the number one response, 59% said human authored content with AI support.
Yeah. There it is.
So literally what you were just saying. Number two was EEAT reinforcement at 50%, and then conversion focused SEO at 38%. So I thought this was a pretty interesting one. That's a vague, for people to choose human authored content with AI support. Like, AI support is the vague part there of like,
right.
Is that just like,
what does that mean?
Give me a few options for how to title this article that I already wrote, or, is the editing layer, is it, brief creation, like all those different pieces. But I personally feel like we've talked a little bit about like EEAT, that motion, all that stuff was already happened before, like the LLM stuff picked up exponentially. And so much of that already aligns to that, like who is the authority and like, who is the author, like all these things matter. So like, I think that part of it, EEAT reinforcement is like, makes sense, is like a place to put your focus, because it's going to be helping both organic search and the LLM side.
Yeah. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time.
Yes. And then conversion focused SEO makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
That they're coming around on the point of SEO a bit more and really, focusing there. I wouldn't call that innovation.
Totally.
But yeah, it makes sense to kind of be focusing there. And to your point earlier, maybe is a bit of a acknowledgement of traffic can be a vanity metric, and, really kind of focusing in. I think it then supports, challenges being difficulty of measuring ROI. The number one tool is analytics and performance reporting. Like if that's kind of where they're headed, is like, I want to do conversion focused SEO, then you got to kind of like, I think those pieces all start to weave together quite well.
Totally. Nothing to add on that one.
Yeah. The next few are super interesting. So hopefully you're still hanging on with us, because these parts are, I think, what a lot of people are thinking about and talking about. So structural and staffing changes. So the responses, number one response, 42% said AI integration training.
Loop marketing.
Yeah. 38% said cross-functional collaboration increase. 36% current best practices upskilling. 28% said no major changes. So again, this is very specifically like, how is your company working, and what kind of changes are you making? So I was not surprised. AI integration training comes in first there. I'll let you chime in on the others real quick.
Cross-functional collaboration is the best one, probably. Actually, yes, that's a great one. I'm glad that that's at number 2. SEO has always been somewhat siloed. So I think it's great that there's more of a deliberate effort to make sure that SEO is integrated, or at least communicating with other teams. That's what I hope that is. And it's probably should be focused with like all teams, success, product, just to make sure the content is focused further down funnel. And then best practices upskilling warms my heart, because I think fundamentals are still important, and there's tons of fundamentals that still apply as everything is evolving. Just, maybe slight tweaks and tightening of the screws. No major changes is interesting, because it's very bold to just say that, because I don't know. Maybe that just means that they're, maybe there's not the budget to invest in those things.
Fair. Yeah.
That would maybe be my only thought, but otherwise, figure out something else.
Yeah. And I do think, the cross-functional collaboration increase is the one that stood out to me, because it certainly fits with what we've talked about, of like a lot of these changes that are occurring are kind of forcing people, it's much more about like being a good company, a good product, having good holistic marketing and a strong brand. It's not, can we throw some more keywords on this page to make it rank better, or whatever. Like, so I think that just the nature of SEO has become far more cross-collaborative, and then, add in the LLM twist to some of that. And I think that it's very warranted. So that,
for sure,
that makes sense to me that it's driving there. And then, the big question, recent SEO investment reductions. So no reduction in SEO investment was number 1 at 57%. Then it drops way down, 18% said they reallocated resources to other channels. 17% said they just canceled or downgraded SEO tools. And 15% said reduced internal SEO headcount. My biggest question here is, are there a decent amount of people here who work in agencies? Because I think that perhaps how that was phrased, like, no, we didn't reduce our investment in SEO,
right?
But maybe not reflective of like individual companies,
right?
That part I'm not sure, but
I mean, if anything, cancel, downgrade SEO tools being lower is, I guess, interesting. I don't know. I think it's a muddied question.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like it's an important one, but I have a hard time getting anything really meaningful, because I don't want to just sit here and be like, hey, almost 60% of people aren't decreasing their investments. Like, you shouldn't be either. I don't know that I feel good enough about it to definitively say that. I think across our own client base, we've certainly seen varying degrees of people reallocating spend into other channels or initiatives. We've certainly seen,
or reducing,
just reducing scope, changes within the team internally, and kind of like how we then support can change. So I think we've seen degrees. I mean, and certainly no reduction in SEO investment has also been represented across, some of our clients too. So
for sure.
I think it's there. I just have a hard time really getting anything super meaningful out of that. And then lastly, future SEO concerns and risks. No surprises here. Number 1, concern or risk, 78% said AI generated answers reducing clicks. 46% said declining SERP visibility. 37% said ROI attribution difficulties. There's that one again. 24% said diminishing content performance. And 22% said ethical AI concerns. So where do you start with that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if you to go back to, I think it was called out in the Loop marketing like material that it was the SparkToro Rand Fishkin study that said like zero click traffic. That's all zero. There's more zero click behavior now, right? So all this makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. AI generated answers are impacting that. SERP visibility is declining because of that, because of AIOs and LLM referrals, or like people using LLMs to get more education. Yeah, it all makes sense. Ethical AI concerns is probably one of the one that I'm like a little bit more curious about. Like, why is that? I mean, even though it's only 22% out of all the other ones, like, why is that such a big concern for? What do you guys do? What are you guys doing that makes you worried? Is it more of just like the broad industry? It can't be like if you're.
Yeah, my only thought there was just like people having like a moral, ethical obligation or objection of like AI is going to take jobs.
Yeah, well, and also just like trademark infringements and stuff like that when it comes to stealing people's content.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think what's always hard about these is that 78% saying AI generated answers reducing clicks. Like we've talked about this so much already. Like, first of all, like the quality of that traffic that you're losing, a lot of what we've seen is like, it's not the meaningful qualified traffic that's converting. It's traffic that no one needed to come to your website. It can be answered by an LLM or an AIO, and therefore that's why it is happening.
Yeah.
And so, I think like, do I think that 78% of companies should be worried about that? Not necessarily, because like it's just the nuance of understanding what the makeup of your traffic is, what really matters to your business, like all these things we've talked about multiple times. So I have a little bit of trouble of just like assigning a number and being like, this is it. I mean, obviously that's what we're reading through here, but at the end of the day, I think this is very much reflective of people needing to be good at holistically marketing themselves and building a brand, and not thinking so much about the entire journey being people coming to my website.
Right.
There are things that are happening already. We've talked about it before in Slack communities and software review sites and all kinds of things that are part of the buyer journey. And like, this is just part of that acknowledgement that it is further fragmenting. It doesn't mean that you can't win. It doesn't mean that it's all lost. Like I think there's a lot there that you can go from it. It's just accepting that it's no longer entirely about just getting people to your website, as many people as possible.
Right. And I would add in that it's like then also critical for you to have a great, strong understanding of performance and reporting.
Right. Which is why that came up here.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
Which I don't mean to derail this. Maybe it's for a future episode, but there's a growing conspiracy theory around the dead internet. Have you heard about this?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's the growing, there's studies out there, so I don't want to misquote, but it's like 3 out of 5 users on the web or something are bots, right? It could be like a search bot, an LLM bot, other bots, spam bots, etc. So you could argue that like, I mean, this makes sense that there's concerns about that, but it makes it even more important, to your point, that like getting traffic to your site shouldn't be the number one goal, because a lot of that traffic might not be real.
Yeah.
And then focusing further down on business impact and all those things that we've already talked about a million times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that that's like something to have a grasp on, in terms of just how your overall programs are working.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot there. And that is a really good point on bot traffic and all that stuff. That, I mean, it was like, it required conscious effort to stay on top of bot filtering.
Yeah.
As we got bigger at Sprout.
Yep.
And and certainly something that
Those
most
were 10 years ago.
small companies is not even on their radar. So
Yeah.
you get a bot that, like, obviously there's ones that hit your site so excessively in a short period of time and then go away that you can be like, oh, this is just a ton of direct traffic or other or whatever, and like you can pick it out. But the one, like, just this one that does it this many times, this one does it 100 times, like it just builds more quietly, like you can really, and then it just goes away at some point. Like it can look like your traffic tanked, and
Totally.
just like, oh, and this whole time we thought we were here and we're actually here because there was this much bot traffic. Like, yeah.
Performance, understanding of performance. That's why it's super critical in reporting.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot there. So, yeah. Anything else on this State of SEO 2026?
No, I think it's interesting always to go, like I very much advocate for this type of content. So like, I think it's good fodder for discussion for any industry, any function. And I think everybody should dive into it and take some of the data points that help them, get their job done at work a little bit more, or maybe support something they've been pushing.
Yep.
Because I think there's stuff in here that does that.
Yep. Cool. Well, this is like a gated PDF, so I'm not going to just, I actually don't even know if I could put it in the show notes. I will link to the page where you can get the report yourself, and not circumvent their whole process. But yeah, so we'll have show notes there. Please be sure to like and subscribe, get early access. Newsletter.10speed.io. We publish once a month. And in addition to that, you get early access to the podcast episodes when they drop. So be sure to check that out as well. And for anything that we might be able to help your company, visit 10speed.io and reach out to us there.
Sweet.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.